Okay, it seems like this is the perfect filter for the occasion, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Okay, so here we go. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. So, for those who are starting to watch it on the record, and hello to everyone who's joining, welcome. Hello, and my name is Marina, and I represent Mila on this English-speaking account to spread Mila's word all around the world, so everyone would know what Mila is all about, what her concept is about, what's her main idea, where did she get it from, and why did she leave so, and what's gonna be happening if you're gonna follow this path, I would say so. So the subject for today is actually busting the rom-com myths. So I actually got my romantic attire, romantic look for this occasion, and I got pretty romantic mask, and I got candles, I got flowers, I got like everything romantic happening for this occasion, and let's bust it pretty good. Okay, I'm starting with kind of a morbid. So there is romance, there is a huge chunk of life dedicated to romance. Being romantic is one of the most wonderful things that we can do in a relationship and in general. Maybe even our treatment to life, our attitude to life, you know. So, but, and we all have to have it, especially us girls. It seems like we got like the one of the purposes is to maintain this romantic point of view. But there's a lot of men who are actually being romantic as well. But let's take a look at the rom-coms actually. So all of the movies, mostly from Hollywood, we have, not only actually, we got like from Bollywood, from India, or some European movies or something like that, or Russian movies we can follow that can actually bring this ideas. Like, you know, when you watch movies, you're not just watching movies, you're actually like soak in some kind of idea that this movie has. So, you know, you actually start to think it through, or sometimes sometimes you just don't actually understand what's happening, but you like, I mean, it just happens subconsciously. So this idea gets into the brain, and you don't even know actually about it. You don't actually have the conscious understanding that you have this idea input in your brain, input in your mind. And it actually might be quite dangerous if you actually do not really understand what's happening, and you don't really control it. And this rom-com thing, I'm drinking out of the vase. I don't know, I just have this habit. I like it. It's my new favorite glass. So you gotta understand, and you gotta feel, you gotta understand what's happening. You have to have your conscious happening there. And let's go through some of those movies that we have. I made like quite of a list, like the most famous. The list is gonna be actually based on like the older movies, like Pretty Woman from 90s, or rom-coms with Jennifer Lopez or someone like that, because basically I watched rom-coms like quite a while ago, and they may be fun, but you always know what's gonna end with. Like, let's start with the main basic idea, main thing that rom-coms have. Everyone will live happily ever after. Like, you know, that everything is gonna be settled, everyone's gonna be happy and stuff like that. But it's not always it doesn't necessarily, it shouldn't necessarily mean that the girl and the man, they should be together for ever and ever. A woman and a man, actually, a girl and a boy, it's kind of like a teenage thing, but the woman and the man is going to be together. Not necessarily. Okay, so I was really happy when we watched like some rom-coms movies, and then they don't actually protrude this idea that they have to stay together, have to be together. I like Moana, for example, the cartoon that we have. She didn't actually end up with a prince or with someone. They just stayed happy, not necessarily in a couple, not necessarily in some kind of relationship. Or My Best Friend's Wedding, right? This one movie with Julia Roberts, when she was actually intended to steal the groom from the wedding by being too good, too nice, and like, you know, she was winning her love back. Oh my gosh, I hate this expression, seriously. But she actually didn't, so she actually accepted the fact that he chose another woman, and this is okay too. So right, so it's not necessarily that rom-coms actually ending all the time in a good, I mean, in the they lived happily ever after and love won, and they won on the circumstances and they stayed together. Doesn't matter of any other circumstances, they're just together. No, it's sometimes maybe they're not together, but there's some other problems with some scenarios in that we should actually go and discuss through. First I wanna start with the teenage rom-coms. Like, teenage rom-coms is quite fun. Like, you know, it was really a big thing, I guess, when it was like a Mean Girls era, when it was like 10 Things I Hate About You and stuff like that. When, you know, when you have something at school happening, I would call like American Pie, but it's not actually a romantic comedy, it's just a comedy. And it has like all the stuff going on when they're at high school or maybe junior school or at the college, you know, and they fall in love, and or it's all about her, like this kind of movies. Those are actually quite fun, and they're actually quite entertaining, and they're fine. They're completely normal and completely regular and good self-esteem, or say everyone that have there, because they're teenagers. Basically, if you're watching a teenage rom-com, that means it's going to be a lot of drama. There's going to be, someone's going to be cheating, someone's going to be after someone else, and it's going to be a huge issue. She's going to be chasing after him, and he's going to be hiding, or she's going to be hiding, or stuff like that, you know. And it's kind of fun, and it's really entertaining. It's really emotional. It's really something people we do feel, but at the age of the teenage kids, you know. So yes, it's normal to actually go after a guy. Even if you go after a guy, it's not really a good thing usually, because it spoils them completely. And if normal thing, if he's going after her for like normal period of time, if he's really obsessed with her and trying to win her affection, trying to win her love, it's not necessarily a really healthy thing to do. But that's what we're all going through when we're teenagers, you know, when we're in the school, when we're just dealing with all these problems, and there's mental instability, I would say, you know. So it's just, so you just follow your feelings, you don't have any control, and those feelings are new for you, you know. It's something that you haven't experienced yet, so you follow them and you do the right thing. This is experience that you have to have when you're having when you're watching those movies. Like, for example, this Clueless, you know. Clueless seems like to be the iconic movie. It's from 90s with Alicia Silverstone. And yeah, they're chasing the boys and girls, and they're trying to reconnect, and so on. Hello, they color your hair. Yeah, I got into my romantic look. Yes. Yeah, don't worry, it's a wig. I'm actually getting sometimes really into blonde mood, but I really love my natural hair color, so I decided to get a wig. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm blonde, and then just taking it off and then becoming myself. Shh, don't tell anyone. Oh, thank you so much. So we do have those like clueless 10 things I hate about you, you know, when he's chasing after her, she's chasing after him, like it depends from different perspectives. 10 things that I hate about her is actually a really good movie because we have like a really nice example of how do relationship work at the teenage era, right? So we get one boy that fall into a girl and he's like really into her, and he's trying to win her affection. He's trying to find the ways how to do so. And he finds out that she can go out if her older sister can go out, and he actually bribes another guy in order to another guy would invite the older sister, so the guy would have a chance to invite the younger sister. This is a really complicated scheme that expresses really good example of how do men react when they're actually in love? What can they do when they're actually in love? Yes, it's kind of like a childish teenage example, but this is how it all starts, you know. And we know all those guys who actually like really they don't care about what other people think. They just want to get the girl, and they do anything to do so. While she's just being like, "Hey, what's up? Yeah, yeah, what's going on? La 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 la." So. And about the other guy who's trying to win the affection of the older sister, he's doing like all the crazy things, like singing on the stadium and being arrested because, like, you know, he's kind of a bad boy, and he's doing all this stuff in order to save her, to do something for her, like to win her over. She's actually helping her, which is a really, really cool cooperative thing there. She's not fighting over him, but she's cooperating. She was actually helping to let him out from being grounded, from being like suspended, because he did something for her. He was suspended. So it's just kind of like a really cool bondage there that created in the like teenage era, right? But some of those like Mean Girls, for example, it's not a best example because there are actually girls who's fighting over a guy, you know. They're just like, yeah, I like this boy, oh, you cannot have him because he's mine, and etc, etc, etc. Just like, yeah, it's kind of a meanness, oh, too much of intrigues and too much like all this webs and nets like going on that you don't want to be involved with. Pitch Perfect, I don't know why did I include it in this list. I don't remember what happened there. So, but okay, let's switch to, so what do we have from the teenage rom-coms? They can be really, really cool example of how does this thing work while you're a teenager. What's happening in your brain, what you follow through. The main idea is just like, again, the guy, if he's really into a girl, he's like, hi, hello, who's joining? If he really wants to win a girl, he's doing everything that he can. Everything that he has is just, I mean, okay, maybe not completely everything. If you're giving up completely all of you just for a girl, again, that might talk about some mental instability there. So, and you're just, but you really want this girl, so you point like the really big part of your resources, your time, your money, your emotions, like everything that you got, you're actually pointing out to win this girl over, you know. It's always a bad idea when the girl is chasing a guy. Like, it's always end up really, really bad when she's just like really has this like specific idea that she needs to have this guy. Worst case scenario, if like the best case scenario, she's just not really gonna get him. If she is gonna get him, he's probably gonna be spoiled because he's gonna feel himself like a prize, you know. And it's sorry for sexist for saying that, but it is more normal for a girl to feel like a prize rather than a guy. It's not a really good thing to feel like a prize, but it's always the man thing to make some deeds to make this relationship work at the beginning. I mean, it's not her who should singing serenades in front of the window. It's him, right? So in the beginning, it's completely normal. He's making more moves in order to win her over, not her trying to win his heart over. Come on, it's just like ruining the brutality and man's psychology in general. But what do we have really bad happens there? We have like more adult rom-comedies for adult people which are based on the same idea as a teenage rom-coms. So when you actually have a like guy who's completely into her, or she's chasing him, which is even worse. And there's like a lot of those things that's happening that you can actually associate with the teenage rom-coms. And what do we have while we're teenagers? We have like unstable self-esteem, unstable psychology, not enough of experience, and completely losing our like mark, our goal, you know, which might lead to like if you maintain this state of mind, if you maintain this psychology, this way of thinking while you're adult, this probably can lead to really good scenario for the rom-com, but not the best scenario for your life. If you're chasing man, or if you're a girl, or if you're giving all of you to win a girl, that's something which is not really healthy. That's something that you probably wanna work with. Like, you know, let's go with specific ones. So, oh, did I put this one? Yeah, this one. A lot of those, they're based on the Cinderella idea. Like, we all know Cinderella. She was not really a big social status or some kind of like, she was like a servant in her own family, and you know, she was just like not actually having a firm place in her life. Like, you know, she was just cleaning the house of her family and live with mice and sparrows in some dungeon room, and just taking care of all the household. But somehow she managed to get to the ball, and the prince fell in love with her, and etc. They lived happily ever after that. This is a really dangerous idea for the real life, I would tell you so, because this kind of a misfit of statuses, like, you know, she's completely from down under and he's a royal prince, that might lead to some kind of really interesting issues. I like this psychologist that I follow on YouTube, that she told that pretty much the scenario is like that. So the prince falls in love with Cinderella, and he really wants to marry her. Of course, the prince's family, they try to tell him, no, don't do that because she's not of your circle, blah blah blah. And he's like, no, I'm gonna live with her, no one understands my love, and etc. So the family is like, okay, you want to marry her, you know, it's 21st century, you can do whatever you want. And even 20th century was pretty much like this. You can marry whoever you want, even if she's completely misfit you on the social level. So what happens, they get married, and that's it. The Cinderella is like finished on this point, right? Like the fairy tale, the cartoon, and the main basis of the all rom-coms. But what usually happens in real life, because this scenario actually happens in the real life. So he's getting married, and she's from completely like a poor neighborhood and poor family, and they don't really have a lot of many topics to discuss. They don't really have like some kind of a social common things to live about, you know. I like this phrase, like, what's the screw with you about? Like, you have to have some kind of a main idea of your life, your ideology, rather than just being in love completely with this person. And they, like, people from different societies, they usually went to different schools, they have different meal plan, they have different circle, they watch different movies, they go different places for vacation, they have nothing in common, literally like nothing, maybe like this much to discuss, this much to introduce. Like, they can introduce a bunch to each other, but mainly it's a rich one who's provide things for the poor one, right? And poor one is really happy, and the rich one is really happy at the first time, right? And he's like, yes, I'm making her happy, she's so cool. Or vice versa, she might be rich and he's really poor boy, and she's just like, yes, this completely screwed up certain scenario and not really into plus one concept, but it happened, right? And it's still Cinderella, whether it's a gender difference they're happening. So, and let's just go with the classic one. So he's really fell in love with her, and he's providing everything for her, and doing everything for her, and doing like materialistic and everything. But with some time, some time after, it's getting annoying for him mostly, and for her as well, because she might feeling like, I don't really deserve it, because I'm not a part of it, I don't know how to behave, I don't know how to, like, you know, drink tea with my finger, with my pinky being pointed out, like, you know, she doesn't really fit there. So they both feeling not so really great. And they probably, by this time, they already have children and they have to deal with that. And he's having a mistress, she's being depressed. And eventually they end up, and like, if she's not, like, if the lower person not working completely, like, busting his ass to actually fit in this society, in this new group of people. Because in real life, you have to, like, either you're gonna choose a person kind of like rather your level, your views, your family values, and I mean not like your mother or father or something. You have your family values in here, and you got them from your mother and your father, and it's really hard to change them completely, like drastically, like or you both put into so much effort into that it basically becomes your life. So, and you have to work on this agenda and work on this occasion, and it's getting exhausted for both of people, sometimes so hard so they cannot do it anymore, and they just decide to quit, and they end up getting a divorce. And he's getting a mistress probably from his circle, because he's trying to be like more mentally influenced by his society, you know. So it's better for him to have a mistress or someone from her circle, his circle, sorry. And they're getting a divorce, and usually what happens, and like, if the family is greedy, they try to give nothing to her, like maybe like a small apartment somewhere, like any apartment somewhere, because she's raising children. Maybe they even can get the children from her, because, like, you know, they're heirs, they're we for the family. So, and it all that, and she's not that young anymore, and she's being spoiled with money, but at the same time her self-esteem is pretty low, because she didn't went through that. He's usually feeling quite okay, because he's having all his teenage hormones went down, and he's finding a girl who's from her circle, maybe even younger, and she's just staying there, just like, what should I do with my life, you know? And it's hard to get from the really high status back to the lower one, and you feel broken, and you feel like not so good. So this is just life, like, you know, this is what happens a lot of the time. This is not me saying that, I heard it from the psychiatrist who's actually dealing with people, who are actually working with the different people problems, who has experience with the personal lives, and it seems like kind of has an idea, because you cannot go with the completely different statuses. And what do we have? Like, I remembered right away is the maid in Manhattan. Like, you know, basically I think like most of the Jennifer Lopez rom-comedies, they're really into the Cinderella idea. So she not okay, maybe not most of it, but some of them, like Maid in Manhattan, like, you know, because she was a maid in the some New York hotel, but she was confused for being someone higher status, and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna go with that, and that's it. And like, you cannot just like change your status just like that at the spot. It's kind of a cheating. Like, you know, if you're saying like, okay, I'm just gonna do it for love. No, if you're lying to this person this much, it's not love. You're just trying to feed your ego, feed your desire to be someone else. This is a really big thing with the self-esteem. And I'm getting to the main point of the rom-comedies. Romantic comedies always have someone there with a really low self-esteem, with a really low worth, which might lead to you building a nice relationship at first, but it's usually goes for the scenario when you have to pretend that you're someone else because someone else that's not you, because from very beginning you were pretending that it's not you. So Made in Manhattan is this one, and which one? The one of the last one with the Jennifer Lopez as well, when she was just working in some kind of a grocery store, some kind of like this. Hi everyone who's joining. So when she was working at completely like grocery store, some kind of like department store, and then someone made her a really cool high social profile, and she's getting into really cool firm and becoming like a really cool, really career person, etc, etc. First of all, that's cheating on a really high level, because when you're coming from this level of society to this by cheating, yes, it's kind of and it's really stressful. It's really stressful and hard to do. But if you're doing so well, would you actually say that in general? Let's just be fair. Like, a lot of people do that and they just don't confess, and they live their own life, which might actually kind of like ruin you from inside. But let's just like be honest, you cannot just put a picture, like Photoshop pictures, a picture of you that you're being friends with Barack Obama and get a really high position. Again, this is a Cinderella story. Okay, she made this one for her works, like, you know, basically like the fairy godmother made her like a really cool vehicle with the horses and a really expensive dress. By the way, in this story where the psychiatrist told about the Cinderella story, she's the like a pickup model, like you know, like when you wanna hook up for one night or something, or you wanna like get someone out of your league, you pretend. So Cinderella pretended really much. She wasn't herself. She was just plain pretending being someone else, and she got the prince exactly like that. So that's why we have like lost a lot of the comedies, rom-coms. Okay, we went through my best friend's wedding. Oh, but my best friend's wedding. So they didn't end happily ever after there in this movie, right? So Julia Roberts didn't end up with this guy that she really wanted to be with. She's like, yeah, we've been friends for a long time, and now when he's announced his wedding, I understood that I really love him. I want to be with him. But she's invited to be, I think, the maid of honor. Our best man. No, I think a maid of honor. It's from 90s. It wasn't that tolerant for sexism. And she was invited to be like a really big part of the wedding, but she's really in love with the groom. First of all, you know this thing when you have a man available and you don't want him, and as soon as he's choosing another woman, you suddenly understand that you really want him. yes, unfortunately, this is what happens with us a lot of time. Not only girls, with men, with everyone around. Like, you know, yes, this is what happens. But this is not healthy. This is one of those things that we shouldn't, like, we have it, we have to accept that we have, like, you know, the grass is always greener, and when we have someone, is like we're losing someone, we start to appreciate them more, and we start to win them over more. We start to being like, oh my gosh, I really need them, I really want them, and you're just like, shit. And we actually need to work on that. Like, if you have this thing, if you're losing someone, like, how is there a proverb for that, that you start to appreciate that when you lose it, right? So, and you have to think about it. You have to, like, go through that, and as soon as you have an idea, like, you know, I want to win over my old friend that is getting married because I'm jealous, because I want to be the one who's marrying him, you should actually think, like, should I call my therapist? Because it's a not normal thing. Now when he had decided that he's getting a different path, you were going after him. Just get your own life. Even if you feel like you really want to be with him, okay, then just, if it hurts you so bad that you're you don't want to see it, just don't go to his wedding and go to your therapist. You cannot just go and tell your the person that you like that I want to be with you, let's be together, when he's getting prepared to his wedding. That's not love. This is bringing this person so much stress. He's not thinking about it. He made his choice. So it's not healthy to go there and tell so. Like, you know, friends when they have, when Rachel went to London to tell Ross that she loves him, it's a good thing she didn't, because this is actually an act of love, to accept the person that you really care about and you proclaim to love. You actually accept his choice and not interfere with that, and you just, because yeah, he decided to get married, that says something about it. So Pretty Woman. This is a really kind of weird movie. I'd say, first of all, she's kind of a really cool girl, and she has her boundaries set there. She has, like, everything. That one thing that doesn't really go with the scenario is that the girl of her energy, I doubt that she would work as a prostitute, because you can see her self-worth, and you can see that she's not, like, sell out completely. I don't know, maybe she's just, like, choosing the exact man that she wants to hook up with, but it doesn't seem like a normal thing for the girl with her values to work as a prostitute. Other than that, she's really cool, like how she speaks with other people. It doesn't matter if it's society of Richard Gere, or if it's in some kind of a store, when she was actually kind of humiliated, but for the way she looks like a prostitute, and then being really elegant and just, like, rubbing their faces into that. You, like, you know, you were treating me like garbage, and, you know, and bye, that's why I'm not gonna be your client. And she did it in a really right way. She didn't come and say, okay, you bastards, you called me a hooker, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna destroy your store. First of all, she was a hooker, she does understand that, but she was really upset with the fact that she wasn't actually served. Like, she was still a client. It doesn't matter who she is, she's still a client of a store. So she's just like, yeah, let's do that. But what's weird about this movie is that the high-level men, it's doubtful that they were gonna bring the prostitute in the society, right? Like, just like, you're gonna be my date all the time. Doubtful, really doubtful. It has to be, like, really completely a girl that he can check, he can trust, and etc, etc. And the last one, that he's just like, yeah, would you be mine forever? Like it's almost like you thinking, oh, should I be a hooker so I have someone from the rich society taking me and winning me over? Again, it's a Cinderella story. No, in order to be the normal and the high level, high quality partner for a man in high society, you can be a prostitute, you can be a hooker, like you know, at least not like men like Richard Gere. If you get to the casino when there's a drug dealer and completely like nouverish guy who doesn't have any like values much of a moral and everything, yeah, maybe. But if you want to go dig into that, go dig into that. But it's not romantic comedy anymore, it's more of a thriller. Sleepless in Seattle, kind of a weird movie because, you know, she just falls for him because she can hear his voice. This is like a syndrome of the hero. Oh yeah, by the way, why did I start the conversation about the romantic comedies? Because last week I was talking about the Carpenter's triangle, when we have the hero, the villain, and the victim. And a lot of rom-coms, they're actually based on the union of victim and the hero. You know, when there's like really, it's mostly happens when the girl is really down and she just like doesn't know what to do with her life. She's really depressed and she's playing the victim actually. And then we got a hero. He's coming there and saving her, like Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. No, it doesn't really happen usually. But if it happens, this is quite of a unhealthy psych. Like, you know, because you have to understand, if you're being a hooker, you're probably gonna have a pimp as your permanent partner at best. Okay, it's at least. But you're not gonna have a man from high society as a normal couple for you. And it's kind of a seeds this idea for girls, like, yeah, I can be a prostitute and I have like Richard Gere coming here and saving me. No, he's not. Richard Gere is taken, I guess, I think, right? And people in high society, men in high society, in real life, don't go for the girl in the high society, in the low society, in the prostitute, to find a girl. I'm glad I made you laugh, right? So it's just not there. And Sleepless in Seattle has this idea that she just can hear his voice, and she's just like, I can hear his suffering. I can hear it in his voice. I can feel it from like miles away. He didn't do anything for her. And you know, it's like the main thing for the relationship. Like, man has to, it's like works as chakras and everything. Man is giving something. He's choosing a girl. And he wants to win her over. And the girl choosing among all the men who has chosen her. Right? So it's not only one man choose one woman. It's like 10, dozen, 100 men can choose one woman. And she can choose from all of those men who already got interest in her. If they didn't have any interest in her, but she's just like, oh, I gotta save him. This is when we have the fucked up situation for it. Please excuse my French. But it's seriously like, how? Like, no, it's not gonna happen that she's just like, yeah, he's like accepting her being a hero, and that's it. And her just falling for him just for his voice is a completely nonsense. Sorry, but this movie is like, it's super, super sweet, it's super, super nice, but it's not happening in real life. I mean, if it does, it's really weird, because can you imagine the guy is just sitting there and he's calling to the radio and just saying like, you know, oh, I got like this situation, my yeah, I think his wife died, right? So his spouse died, and he's just calling to the radio because he's feeling lonely, and he feels it's complicated to raise a child or children without a mother. And she's falling into that. And can you imagine a man just like, he's just calling to the radio and like complaining about it on the radio. And then one day she appears and she's like, I heard everything you said, I want to save you. yeah, sure. Like, I don't think like any man is gonna say like no to that, and he just gonna be like, yeah, let's meet there, and like you're just gonna be mine, and it's just like she's saving her. She's playing the hero with him, and you know when you're becoming a heroine in the very beginning of your relationship, you're gonna be a heroine for all of your relationship. You're just gonna save this relationship all the time because he's just gonna get used to that he's just a prize. Unfortunately, this cycle of men and women works on a different level, a different thing. As soon as you let the girl feel that she's a prize, she's gonna bloom. She's gonna become like she's gonna have a confirmation that she's gonna be looking gorgeous. She's gonna do everything for you. She's gonna praise you, like seriously, like her hero, like her man, her savior, and everything. Savior, it's kind of sounds like a conundrum that savior is not a good thing. But at least if someone's saving someone else, it should be a man who's saving a woman. Not too much though. But as soon as you're saving a man and he's playing the victim, he just got lazy and he just like, okay, I allow you to save me. Like, you know, this kind of a thing. Like, you know, this thing when the man actually gets sick and they have like a fever 37.2, which is like 100 degrees or something. I'm not really good in Fahrenheit. But they have like a minor fever. And they're just playing like, oh my god, I'm just gonna die. Make a wheel from my beard, like this kind of a thing. It's kind of funny, and it's like it's fun to. It's great to take care of your man when he's sick, you know, and he's like actually feeling so. And he allows you to save him. He allows himself to be weak. Sometimes it's normal, but when you're saving the man all the time from the very beginning of the relationship, he's becoming weak on a permanent basis. Don't do that. The proposal. Oh, it was Sandra Bullock when she actually proposed to her PA, personal assistant. Can we just skip and just say this like a really fucked up movie? Because she's like really into a guy because of his because of the citizenship. Okay, she needs to be a citizen of the United States, and they're trying to do this kind of a thing, but it's just like too vanilla, you know, that he's taking her to her parents because they have this fake thing going on. This is like a fairy tale that the girls to become truth, like the Cinderella. But seriously, there's nothing serious and nothing normal about it, because they go in there in a really fucked up mood and they're completely like, you know, oh, I'm gonna get you, oh, I'm gonna show you, oh, I'm gonna, it's like, it seems like someone wants to get a piece out of other person, you know? Okay, I'm gonna, I have to propose you because I need a citizenship, so you have to because you're my PA. Okay, I'm gonna do it, but just if you're gonna give me the salary raise. And they're trying to take from each other, and it's just like it's hard to get from this point to the point when you're actually given to each other, if you're not in a fairy tale, right? So it's not just going on by you bumping into each other, being naked, and it's not safe with sex completely. No, sex is just making all these things more, all the things that you have more bright and like crazier. Runaway Bride. Well, Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts has a really crooked girl character there, and this is a completely scenario when there's a savior and a victim. So Julia Roberts is a victim, and Richard Gere is a savior again. Right, just the same thing as in A Pretty Woman. But in A Runaway Bride, we have a girl who's completely lost in her grooms. The girl with no self-esteem. Basically, everything that she does and everything that she pretends to have, to love, to be, she's not. She's doing it to win men's affection. To actually pretend of being normal, you know, she protrudes this idea that she has to get married, and that's why she pretends that she fits the life of any other new groom. She loves the same egg, she loves the same sport, she loves the same entertainment, everything that the man loves, she loves. which is not true. She doesn't really hear her feelings. She doesn't have a connection with her completely. She doesn't know what she loves. She doesn't know what she would like. And when it's like 20 maybe okay, but 30 something, actually 20 something, it's not that really easy. It doesn't solve, you cannot solve it just by having a conversation with someone, with the man, with the savior, with the hero. Okay, in rom-coms you can do it with a hero. In real life you have to go to the therapist. You have to go to the therapist and understand why you're trying to win affection of the man you don't care about. Because she didn't care about them. If she would, she wouldn't run away from them right before the wedding. So here we have like a really, really big issue with the self-esteem of the bride. That's why she was like running away all the time. And you remember when when she was married Richard Gere, she just like go in there to the altar and looks at him just like, you're my savior, you're my savior, don't turn away, don't turn away, don't turn away. It seems like if you stop looking at her by just a second, she's not there anymore. She doesn't believe in the world. She doesn't believe in anything. No, it's a normal thing to look at one direction, not on each other. And she's kind of like manipulative in this thing. Just like, okay, I'm running away because you're not looking at me. Like, think about it, how crazy it is. Okay, wedding planner. We went through a wedding planner. Oh no, wedding planner we didn't. It's actually kind of close to my best friend's wedding, but with a different ending when she's not like best friend, but she's a wedding planner and she's planning a wedding for this couple and she falls in love with the groom and they end up being together. Sorry for spoiling that, but rom-coms have like completely same endings, like almost all of them. So, and like, again, it's not actually a Cinderella scenario, but still some kind of fairy tale scenario. Like, you know, when the man is really in love with his woman, he wants to marry her, he's not that really into looking and trying to find someone else there. This is like one of a million cases probably. And think about it, if a man has decided that he wants to marry one woman, but then right before that he falls into a wedding planner and he doubts that much, would you rather be with this man? Like, how do you know that he's not gonna do the same thing with you? How do you know that he's just not gonna run away with your wedding planner? The same thing we see happens in Serendipity. When he's actually engaged, but last moment he's just like, oh, I remember this girl that I just had like one evening in New York and I really want to find her. Like, to see that she's not her right before the wedding. Like, okay, it's super romantic, super cool, seems like, oh my gosh, she's like following his dream and etc, etc. How do you know that right before, like right after you're engaged and you're getting ready to his wedding, he's not gonna have doubts about you? Maybe because of his almost wife or someone else. Like, where do you find this line there? But it's in rom-coms, of course, we have like, oh my god, he's so amazing, he's heroic, he's really into like, he's really cool in that manner, and he's following his dreams, like, you know, like, think about it, like how much would you trust to that person? I mean, especially with your life. Made Manhattan, we went there. Friends with Benefits. Really glorious movie, just like, maybe it's kind of a new, it's like 7 years old or something, because I went to like movies from 80s and 90s and zeros. So it's with Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake when they actually get to know each other because of the work, and they start to have sex with each other just because they're friends. And yeah, that's why they call it Friends with Benefits. And then after a while they get like closer and closer, and he's taking her to your family just like a friend, and it's and she hears that he speaks with other person saying like, yeah, we're just actually screwing each other, it doesn't really mean anything serious, I mean. And she's getting offended by that, and she's hiding from him, at the moment. This is a big female manipulation. Just hide herself from the radars because he announced something that you actually agreed upon is really manipulative thing. This is teaches us to manipulate with men, actually, you know. So you actually met a man, so yeah, let's do just a sex thing. You agreed on that. You actually have this contract, verbal contract that happening. Yes, you didn't have like dates, you didn't have like, he didn't actually input in this relationship at the beginning, neither did you. Like, you know, you're just friends. Yes, you do have sex sometimes, and yeah, it's good for your health, but it's not maybe good for your psyche. You have to understand that if you have sex with a man, especially for us girls, it's more important because we, like, just by nature, just by something that we have in our biology and psychology, our neurons and hormones, we tend to fall in love with men that we have intimacy with, and you have to think about it when you do so. And if you actually fall for the man, like, first of all, he's not feeling the same way you do. He just doesn't feel the same way. It's if you fell for him, you fall in love with him while you're being friends and you're having sex, it doesn't mean that he did as well. He might just having fun, and with men it usually works like that. He's just like, yeah, I'm having fun, and that's it, and blah blah, and all good, and bye bye next day. And he doesn't feel anything. He just forgot about it. Like, yeah, he does feel some kind of feelings about you, but it's not being in love. It's not romantic. And when you actually hear it, you have a confirmation of he's not really romantic and he's not really into you. He's not in love with you. And you get offended by that, and like, okay, she was not really offended, she was hurt, right? So she's like, oh, I thought we have something bigger. Well, if you don't speak about it, if you don't have a proper communication, then you don't. You at least have should have some kind of a signs, like do it with a Morse or something, but you have to understand that you're on the same page. So they being on different pages, and she's getting offended by the fact that he's on a different page than her. Why would he be on a page than her? But rather than again have a communication to discuss the situation, to actually speak with him about it and tell him, like, you know, it seems like I'm falling in love with her. I want to do something about it. If you want to be in a relationship, great. If you don't, then bye. Like, I have to have some time from you. What does she do? She doesn't speak about it. She just disappears. This is a manipulation. This is a really, really, like, you know, abusive manipulation, because he didn't do anything. He was following the contract. He was just having the same. And we have got this regular situation when, you know, when you're being guilty but you don't know why. And you screwed up by just being you, by maintaining the same idea, the same rules, by following the rules that you both set. Like, you know, and if you're changing your mind and you want to change those rules, speak about it with your partner. So this one is a really screwed up movie. So basically he's after that, he's like, oh, really love her. No, he's not really loving her. He's manipulated into thinking that he's loving her. And unfortunately, the friends with benefits, this is something that really happens really often nowadays. And then he's feeling guilty because like she's feeling in love, and he's like, yeah, he's fucking her, and sorry my French, and they having sex with each other, and he's a man, he understands that he has some kind of a commitment about it, but hence she actually dropped those commitments. She told him, okay, we're not a couple, we're not supposed to behave as a couple. It's fine. Let's just let's just have fun, not being a couple. And then she being offended on him because he doesn't think of her as her couple. This is like crazy. So Let's speak about some of those movies that actually got like a really good example. First, like a really old movie that called Groundhog Day. Do you remember this one? So basically, it's a movie about a man stuck in one day. So he's waking up all in the morning. It's always February 2nd. This is the day that he really doesn't love, and he's forced to live it like every day, and it's kind of like a torture for him because he have to be you have to be in the same day that you don't like this holiday, don't like this day. But what happens there is actually he's kind of feeling for good feelings for one of the crew, like the co-worker of his. And first he's being a douche, but at the same time he's spending every day that he's waking up in the morning knowing her better and better, like learning the stuff that she likes, and like, you know, and being like, okay, I'm gonna win her affection, I'm gonna win her heart. And when it's end up with, when they actually got in one day, they got in love with each other, they end up being together. Which brings us like, first of all, this is like fantasy, you know, you cannot wake up in the same day at the same time. Although a lot of people seem like have a Groundhog Day on a daily basis. But he's actually doing all this stuff to win her affection. So he's stuck in the day that he doesn't like. He hates this day, and he did everything that he wanted to do on his own, like, you know, getting smashed, not going to work, like doing this and that, like, you know. But he got bored, and then he gets the goal. He sets the goal to win this girl affection, and he's doing all these small things. Like, know what kind of cocktails does she like, what kind of food does she like, what piano things, like piano music does she love, and everything. And it takes him like, I think like hundreds of days. I once tried to count all the days that he spent on the Groundhog Day. I couldn't, and like, seriously, it seems like he spent years in one day. Oh my gosh. 51st dates. Pretty much the same idea as a Groundhog Day, but she's stuck in one day because she had a trauma, she had like a car accident or something, and there's something happened with her brain. And for her, she's always wakes up in the one day, like February 20th, or like, let's take July 4th. Okay, it's too big of a holiday, but August 15th. And every day that she wakes up, she thinks it's like August is 15th. And like every the same year, and she's doing the same things, and etc. So what we have in this situation, that the man is actually, when he find out about it, he started to adjust everything that she has around her to her condition, to her mental condition. Again, it's something about saving again, but as I told before, if a man saves a woman, it's better than woman saves a man. This is kind of more of a fucked up and a really mental thing. I'm not really sure that this condition might happen in the real world. Like Drew Barrymore has this condition that she's always like, every morning she wakes up, she thinks it's the same day 10 years ago, but it's not already, it's been a while. So it's kind of a weird concept, but like, might be happening, you know. There's like different ways of amnesia, but there's a really good example of how a man winning affection in a really original way, not only knowing her favorite color and bringing flowers in this color, not only like supporting her mentally, emotionally, financially, in any other way, but actually maintaining this weird kind of way of life when you always think you wake up and you just don't know that you're actually married. Like, you know, it's really weird. 10 days, I don't really know. Something About Mary. This is a really cool romantic comedy, and really nice one. And you can see there's a different characters. There's a really nice example of the main character who's actually follows Mary. Other guys, they're completely screwed up. So they're cheating, they're lying, they're doing some kind of crazy thing, they're obsessed with Mary. And the main character, he's kind of a creepy too, because he's following like he's chasing after her, he's hiring detective. This is really crazy that you do all those kind of crazy stuff. I mean, if she find out, I don't know if she find out in the movie eventually, but it's kind of weird. It's really weird. If I would find out that the guy is being following me for several like months before, I would be creeped out. Just like that. Okay, it's 20 seconds remain, but basically I've told everything that I want to say. So please, when you're watching romantic comedies, just maintain that, like, keep the idea that it's not completely 100% truth. Most of it has some kind of flaws there. I'll see you next week. Thank you for being with us.